Stu has had his ear to the ground on some of this, and so has Ronnie. So, Janice?
Yeah. So you probably, if you drive in the neighborhood, you probably notice that there's increased congestion along Broadway, at Coronado, at 51st, around the corner of the shopping center. I'm sorry?
Louder.
That's as loud as it gets for me. I'm sorry. I can't really do much about that. So we've been concerned about it because there's a lot of cut-through traffic. People are coming up 51st, getting really frustrated by not being able to make one or two and sometimes three lights at Broadway. And so they cut through on Desmond. They fly up Desmond Street, which is a quiet little residential street, and then they turn right onto Coronado, trying to get to either the shopping center or onto Broadway, going to the left, or wherever it is they're going, to Merrill Gardens or to Wendy's. And they don't stop at the stop signs. It's become a real problem. So we've, when Merrill Gardens was built, we spent a lot of time working with the planners to make sure that there wasn't going to be, some horrible problem going on, and just as we thought, there's a horrible problem going on. So we've documented everything that we've seen. We've gotten input from neighbors on Coronado, on Desmond, on 51st, on Hemp Hill, which is a little alley right around the corner. We've talked to people at Merrill Gardens. We've done a lot of research. And thank you for the map. That's really nice. And we've been trying to work with the city on a number of issues, and coincidentally, today we finally had a meeting with the
After
city.
5 years of work, we finally got a meeting.
Make it happen. Yeah. Which was good. It was not particularly fruitful. They didn't really commit to anything that we wanted them to do, except that they're open to listening to some of the concerns that people have.
Let me just interrupt. If anyone's interested in seeing what we've done, we have a 12-page report with colored pictures and circles and arrows. So if you're interested in seeing it, we have a copy here. If you want us to email it to you, we'd be happy to do that.
I think we could try and put that up on the RCPC website.
Sure.
Because I think I've got, you emailed a copy to me,
have, yeah.
so we can put it up on our website for people to look at. That's at rockridge.org.
So it's not just traffic issues at 51st and Broadway. It's Coronado and Broadway, it's Gilbert and Pleasant Valley, which is sort of outside of Rockridge, but the panel group is actually working on that too, and we've met with them as well. But there is confusion around the lights that went in, especially at Coronado. People are trying to get to the shopping center, or they're trying to get into what we call our neighborhood, which is down Coronado, which is a one-way street going the other way. So
down a blind hill.
We have a lot of wrong-way traffic on our street, and we now have it exacerbated by the fact that Merrill Gardens has a lot of really lovely residents, and they make a circuit every day to get their exercise around the block, and they are not prepared when they see cars coming the wrong way. They have hearing impairment issues, mobility issues, and I think there's going to be a big exodus at some point. And we're trying to get the city to get excited about doing something about it before someone gets hit by a car. So the city agreed today to have the what do they call themselves? ODOT? The Traffic Department?
Local Department of Transportation.
Right. And they had a representative at the meeting today, which was very helpful. And so they're going to really re-look at everything. And I think that's really what we were asking them to do, is kind of re-engineer everything that they were trying to do there, because it's worse than what they thought was going to happen. They did an EIR, they looked at how bad the traffic was going to get, and it's worse than what
it's way underestimated. For example, Merrill Gardens has many, many more day help, home health workers who were not factored into the whole EIR, the whole initial traffic report. Plus, we have Baxter on Broadway going in, the Arad Urban going down. So there are over 700 new residential units, plus all of that commercial, including Whole Foods that's going to go in down there, all trying to get through the same corridor. So, and part of what they said to us today is they're unable to perform a second traffic study that was planned by Safeway because that second phase of Safeway development, as we know, is in abeyance. So the Safeway money that was set aside for that study is just in limbo right now. So there's no way to get a new traffic study, which is what we need. Meanwhile, CCA is going to be developed. There are other plans. This triangle may be developed. So there's a kind of a holistic plan that needs to happen that is not going to happen. So anything that happens now, we were told today, will be just piecemeal and kind of a holding pattern. But we are trying to get help and connections with other people who are concerned and involved and who want to be on our mailing list and sign our letters and petitions and so forth and so forth. So if you'd like to be on the list for more information and to connect with us, please let us know.
Take your name. The OakDOT guy who was there, Mike Ford, who seems to be a really nice guy, he was really understanding what we were asking for, which was sort of, taking an engineering look, a traffic engineering look at everything that they planned around the shopping center in Merrill Gardens and throwing out what we know and kind of starting again. Here's what we have, here's what works, here's what doesn't work. So with this document, they now know what doesn't work. We also made a number of proposals that we thought would make a lot of sense. Some of them are very particular to Coronado Avenue because that's where all the wrong way traffic is coming.
Could you speak up a little louder?
Yeah, I can't speak any louder.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have vocal problems. I can't speak any louder, so sorry. So this document can go up. People can read it. We have a couple of copies here. And then if you would like to talk to us or get on our mailing list, we have just a neighborhood mailing list that we do. We're happy to take your name. We want more people to become involved. If you're interested in the issue and you drive in that area and you're frustrated by what's happening, we would like to hear from you and we'd like to put you on the list so that you can be aware of what's going to happen.
Are there any comments or questions now?
Hold on.
Number one, number two.
Any more?
Two's good. Thank you.
I drive on Broadway there quite often, and it seems to me almost right at 51st and Pleasant Valley, there was a different traffic configuration every week. And that is what's confusing. So I think people are trying to avoid some of that, and sometimes the streets are blocked, the lanes are blocked off. It's hard to know what's going on there. So people don't know where to go, so I think that's one reason some people are trying to get out of that mess. I've never actually gone over to Coronado or any of those streets.
Yeah, people are trying to bail from that.
But I can see where they would do that.
So now that the construction is essentially complete at Baxter on Broadway, which is that new apartment building, things should calm down a little bit, I think, except there will be a lot of extra traffic because that's like, how many units are there?
I have it down here.
250-ish.
Yeah.
200-ish. Yeah.
200, 250.
Yeah.
And they have parking enough for more like 130 units.
Yeah,
So-
parking is another issue.
Yeah, so.
And we have other separate issues that we're working with Merrill Gardens on. One of them is their arcane parking policy that prevents people from using their parking garage. So we're trying to negotiate just on a neighborly. We have no leverage with them other than just asking them to be neighborly and make some adjustments to their policy. But that is very, very negatively affecting our neighborhood. Who's the other? You.
Do you know where the old Children's Hospital sign is on that corner? It seemed to me when I first came here that before they started construction that you could turn right and there was more space there. How come they just glommed onto part of that?
That's what we want to know. We think that should have been sheared off to make it easier right turn.
Yeah, that made it a little bit easier that way. And then the second thing is, can you put the map up and show me where Coronado is? Because I've never heard of it. I must not have been on it either.
It's at Wendy's.
It's just the other
Oh, at Wendy's.
It's a J-shaped
Yeah, because I saw,
west of Wendy's.
and I saw somebody today who held up a whole line of traffic because there's that little space that looks like you could turn left at the end of the College for Arts and go back. They were trying to make a U-turn another way.
Oh, right.
And I have never seen anybody do that because traffic is backed up on that side. So they held up everybody while they figured that out.
Well,
Was there supposed to be?
Here's Broadway and 51st Street.
Okay.
Here's Desmond, here's Coronado.
Oh, okay.
It's a one-way street going this way.
Other way.
Oh, the other
Oh,
way.
I'm sorry, going this way.
Yeah.
Right. I live on it, I should know.
Oh, well,
So-
it's late.
So it ends up with this new light here on Broadway.
Except that now, because of Merrill Gardens got special
It's here.
dispensation. From here to here is two-way. So people are coming in here to go to either Wendy's or Merrill Gardens, and because they have already turned onto this street, they just assume that they can go.
Oh, I see.
So they
Okay.
come
It's kind of a natural thing.
careening down here,
The wrong way.
or they come up here and not obeying any of the signs.
So
And so part of what we're doing is trying to get signage.
So we've asked the city to re-look at all of this. Maybe if you, and this
Some of
intersection as
this.
well.
Mhm.
So maybe if you come out of the shopping center, you notice that this driveway out of the shopping center really doesn't match up with Coronado.
Yeah.
It's on a little bit of a hill, so if you're there and you're waiting to go out, you can't really see cars coming this way or this way. There's a little bit of a blind
Thank you.
spot there. So I really just ask the city to sort of, take a traffic engineering look at this again, make it better.
Follow-up question on that. One of the things I imagine in your exploring this is the timing of that light at Coronado. And
Yeah.
is that something that the
Yeah.
department would be willing to look at?
They already have, because one of the seniors from Merrill Gardens fell.
Yeah.
And this is what we were saying. They're saying the usual procedure is they don't do anything until, if it leaves, it leaves. So we're saying, let's not wait. But it took us 5 years for them to hear our up and down. And so they lengthened it a little bit.
Yeah, like by 5 seconds, which is not a lot, but sometimes that's just enough what you need. But
To stop traffic on Broadway so that someone from Merrill Gardens could cross over
Yeah.
to the shopping.
A walker or whatever, yeah.
And they did update us too a little bit on the fact that the second phase of the shopping center is pretty much dead in the water. Nothing's happening there. The developer is reevaluating what they're going to do with it. So in light of that, and in light of the fact that CCA is going to be vacating their property and that is also going to be developed, we're really pushing the city to take a really good traffic engineering look at this whole thing because it's only going to get more complicated. So,
One more thing, and I don't know, I missed part of the presentation, but on Broadway at 51st, so when you're heading toward downtown on Broadway right now, it goes from 3 lanes to 2 lanes. I have no idea why, except I understood all the bus stops are supposed to be on the far side of the traffic signal, so I thought maybe they were leaving that space in front of the new Baxter for the bus stop. But they haven't put a bus stop in there, and it's scary in the mornings when everybody in that far right lane is suddenly figuring out in the intersection they have to get over into one of the other lanes. So I hope whatever your request pending
yeah,
is.
and it's a really short merge there.
It's not really a merge, you're going across an intersection.
Yeah, but
From three.
it's narrowing down to one lane in a very short distance, which is not enough time for people to be there. We're hoping that they'll look at the whole thing, this is sort of our entree into the world over there, the transportation department. And
Thank you, everyone, very
Thanks.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through the rest of the things that I think most of you know about, but maybe a show of hands. So I want to talk about scooters. the bike station at BART and some updates about some road projects. And who is here, who really wants to hear about scooters? Okay, and bike station, and then road updates. Okay, that's not helpful.
That's
They're
the
even.
left turn. Are you talking about the left turn?
That's one of them, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go through all these slides. So I actually so there have been a couple of developments just this week in Oakland. One is that they passed an ordinance about scooters, and two is actually, I think just last night, they came down with a decision about the BART bike station. So I'm going to lead with that. So they did a survey of residents and got, plurality saying to just leave it in the existing location, and they have decided to leave it in the existing location, but they're going to move the outer arm of it, the one that is closest to the memorial, over to the other side of that pillar. This is a terrible diagram, but over to the other side of the pillar so that they've got 2 rows of bikes here and then this row back here, and then move the mat so it's out of the way. So their reasons are it's using an underutilized space over there, or why they put it there originally. There's enough space over there, more than the other sites that will interfere less with pedestrian traffic. It's very visible for people coming to find the bike, and based on the public input. One thing, so I think that where we as a community can still have effect is that they did say that they're going to consider improvements to lighting and signage. So, personally, I think this is a great opportunity to actually bring people to see the memorial. Yeah, I've lived here for 9 years, and honestly, I didn't even know what it was for a long time. I just thought it was pretty art, and I walk by all the time, but, actually going up to the bikes, I think more people will go up there and actually get the chance to take a look at it up close. So that's the BART. I think I'm going to go through everything, and then maybe afterwards we can have comments. Did you want to say something about that? Yeah.
So, you don't want to take comments on the item with the item?
I don't know. What do you think we should do?
Why don't we open this up to discussion?
Okay. All right. So yeah, let's go. So do you want to do your question thing, or I'll do it?
I don't have a question.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
I'm Brooke Levin, and I'm the container of the Firestorm Memorial Wall, where it was built in after the 1991 firestorm, and some of you probably didn't live in the neighborhood then, or maybe weren't even born then. But the wall was built and put together by over 2,300 people. Annalie Allen here coordinated everybody making the tiles. Everyone from the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, to Chabot school children have tiles on that wall. People who lost homes, people who lost family. 25 people died in the fire. I just want to say that I am the person who's been speaking on behalf of the wall, having nothing to do with bikeshare, and it's, I think bikeshare is great, but to try to convince the powers to be, who hadn't done any public process, and who are not here in this meeting right now, to find an alternative location. They said, okay, we're going to put it in because we just, it's 2 days away from putting it in, it's temporary. So they put it in with the commitment to do a process, which they did, and they came up with 3 alternative locations, a few people, total 100. 51% said they liked one of the 3 other locations. 49% said leave it where it is, and some people like you say, I never really noticed it, I never really knew what it was. Well, that's fine. You're probably rushing to BART or walking down the street or biking and didn't really pay attention. But it's a very important thing. The anniversary is coming up in a month, and for the 25th anniversary, which was 2 years ago, we had an enormous event there with hundreds of people. We had the mayor and the general manager of BART speaking. It's not just a little dinky wall. It's a very important piece of memorial public art. And so, I've been the one having a lot of dialogue with BART. I appealed their decision, and yesterday evening, or 2 evenings ago, they sent me a letter saying that basically, hey, most people wanted to keep it where it was, and the other 3 locations weren't really viable. So I just want to tell you, I still don't agree that public art should have a piece of infrastructure in front of it. No other public art I know of would ever have that happen to it. So I just want to put that out there for the record for the community so you all understand why this is important for the community. It is a memorial, not just some little thing. I will be meeting with BART Leonora will be coming with me, as well as Annalee and a few other people, to see how they want to actually lay it out. I've asked them to mark the pavement, because they want to put this map, which is the big advertisement from Air Alaska, right in front of the view shed of the wall in that new configuration. Right now, it's off to the very side, and you see it when you're walking down the sidewalk. So I am concerned about that, and where the kiosk goes, and those are two things they can flex with. I'm still not in agreement with it. I probably never will be. My hope is that these stationary bike shares with docks will fade out over time, and they'll be just dockless like these scooters are, and so it won't be an issue over, once this contract with the MTC and Motivate and everything expires, probably in 8 years. I think that, it's probably going to change, because transportation is changing all the time, and it's not bolted into the ground, it's just sitting there. But I'm going to definitely be working with them, and what I'd like your support on is, besides the light enhancements and they said they would consider light enhancements and consider some new signage to explain the wall. I'm asking for the benches to be replaced, which are completely eroded and in terrible condition, that are in front of the long part of the wall. And I am also asking for them to have a regular maintenance schedule for cleaning of the wall, because the tile gets all the soot from all the cars. So I'm asking for those two things, in addition to enhancements to lighting.
Those benches here, along.
Yeah, they're along the long part of the wall. So there's two short ends, and then there's a long end. There's 4 concrete benches that are like skateboards have just kind of corroded them, and they're really pretty nasty looking. So I'm asking for those, and I did send an email to BART, and I did get an email back saying they haven't committed to the lighting and signage enhancements. I mean, I don't know if you saw the letter that I got.
No, they just got, they said.
But they haven't committed to it. They've kind of offered it out there to me, but they have not made a firm commitment. But they did, I will be meeting with their liaison, and we will be discussing it. But I would hope that RCPC board would endorse the idea of the signage, the lighting, which I'm going to ask for LED lights, and the benches, and a maintenance schedule for cleaning. So if you would consider an endorsement of that, I would appreciate it.
That's good.
Brooke made reference to the 25-year commemoration of the event. There were many chairs, there was a podium, there was safety, first responder equipment, and so on and so forth. And it was a very moving, wonderful ceremony. And, this upcoming anniversary is what, 27, 20, something like that?
27.
So, but say we get to year 30, it's not going to be possible to have the sort of commemoration event like we had for the 25th, because the bike docks are totally in the way. And so it's just a shame, and it's close to disrespectful to those who lost their homes and their lives, who want to come and think about things at the wall and have a gathering every year on the time of the anniversary, and now that's not going to be possible. That's not going to be possible, and it's really too bad.
So I'd like to ask on how the community can help you. How can the community help you?
If the board would actually take a position on the lighting, signage, benches, and maintenance of the wall enhancements, that would be great. At this point, I think that's what can be done. I mean, when I got the letter from BART with their decision, I was not happy with it, and I thought, well, what could I do? Where can I take it? How could I, further pursue it? And, I really weighed the pros and cons of doing that and going the political route and the media route, which the media is very, very, very interested in this and gave us a lot of coverage when it went in. And I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take these enhancements and try to expand upon them, and hope that the bike share goes to dockless or some other format in the future, and that it's not a permanent mar to what I think is a very important piece of public art in the city of Oakland.
Does the bike share pay BART for being there, or how
I don't think they pay BART. They pay their, the bike share. It's through the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and Oakland, Berkeley, and San Francisco are all part of it, and there's a whole formulaic thing on how, they get their money, so the contractor that retires motivates, we put it in,